So with the release of Kirby Forgotten Land right around the corner, I guess I was in a Kirby mood, so I decided to revisit one of Kirby's first adventures on the Nintendo Switch with Star Allies. Just like many games for the Revisit series, this is a game that I reviewed in the past, so let's see if any of my opinions has changed. Let's get into it. So Star Allies was released back in 2018 on the Nintendo Switch, and I remember many people being pretty hyped for it. Now the hype was nowhere near as high as it is now with Kirby Forgotten Land. So yeah, we finally had a mainline Kirby game for the Nintendo Switch, and it looks like the focus this time was around cooperative play. So if you never played a Kirby game before, pretty much the whole idea of these games was to be an easier, enjoyable experience, really meant to reel in younger players and families. But the developers always put in challenges and harder modes for players who were looking for a bit of extra challenge. So there is something here for everyone. Back in the development seat is Hall Laboratories, and well, let's see what this game is about. Plot-wise, Kirby is definitely not known for an overly complex plot, and Star Allies is no exception to that. Essentially, there's this dark crystal heart that explodes and causes many of Kirby's friends and cast to be corrupted. Kirby also got hit with one of these dark fragments, but instead of being corrupted, Kirby gains the ability to befriend his foes by throwing hearts? Yeah, okay. Now, of course, Kirby is looking to stop whatever dark forces out there, and again, the Kirby series is not really known for its individual stories. And I know there is Kirby lore out there, but nah, I wouldn't say that's a selling point for me personally when it comes to the Kirby series. Now, gameplay wise, this is where I'm kind of mixed on this, because on one hand, it is a fun game. The game introduces the friendship mechanic, which allows you to add enemies on the field to your party essentially. Not only that, but this allows you and your party to mix and match abilities. So for example, if I use Kirby's copy ability to obtain Sword Kirby, I can hold up on the analog stick, and if I have a fire or ice based party member, I can combine their ability with mine, and I love that mechanic. I will also say this, having 3 party members, you are so overpowered. Like, nothing in this game is going to be a challenge. The CPU allies you have is almost like they're playing the game for you in certain spots, and none of these bosses even stand a chance. It gets pretty hectic at times, but I still had a good time. You also have these friend abilities that you can use, and that does switch up the gameplay in a fun way. Now on the flip side, this game is probably one of the safest Kirby titles that you can play. Besides the friendship mechanic, there is nothing here that really stood out to me, level design wise or anything. Now if you never played a Kirby game and this is your first experience with the Pink Puff, this may not be an issue for you at all, but if you played the series for a while, there's nothing here that you have not seen in a previous title. Even the boss fights, like I stated, when you have the CPU allies, these fights go by so quick, but I will say I love the final showdown with the final boss. I love that the fight switched up the gameplay from 2D to 3D, and that was really fun to play. But the puzzles, the levels, yeah, nothing was really a challenge. But again, if this is your first Kirby title, or if you have kids you're playing with, this is a fun time. So just like previous Kirby titles, you have multiple modes that you can explore outside the story mode. The first mode I tried was the guest star mode, which you essentially run through the main game as one of the many enemies instead of Kirby himself. So I guess if you want to play as one of your favorite enemy types, go for it. The next mode I tried was the ultimate choice, which is pretty much a boss rush where you can adjust the difficulty. Then we have Heroes of Another Dimension, which I believe was added about a year after the game was initially released, but a very fun mode and pretty challenging, I must say. You essentially take controls of characters from the Kirby games and try to clear these rooms with their movesets. I like this mode. The last 2 modes are simple mini games, but I didn't really spend much time with these, but they are there for those who want to check those out. Besides that, I must say, I like this game's menu aesthetic and just the game's art style in general. It looks really good to me. Speaking of art, as you collect these puzzle pieces scattered throughout the game, you can unlock these really cool art pieces to view later. I love that. Overall, Kirby Star Allies was a decent entry for the Kirby series on the Switch. If this is your first Kirby title and experience, you have quite a bit to look forward to. But if you're more like me and played multiple games in the series, the game felt like a very safe game and really didn't do much to innovate on the actual formula. So, I thank you all for tuning into this revisit, and I'll see you next time.